Good to see everyone this morning. How you doing this morning? Good to see you, Senator.
Thanks for inviting us over.
With a senior senator, a congresswoman, and a county executive all speaking, I think we should be able to get out of here by about 5:07 p.m. this evening. For anyone interested in another game going on later today. But it's great to be here. Today, really at its heart, is about thinking globally and acting locally. We have two longtime public servants in front of me, two really heroes of Delaware history that's still being written. And a lot of that history is about what we did on the front lines of the fight against climate change as the lowest lying country, the lowest lying state. We're not seceding yet. The lowest lying state in the country. And we wanted to put this together, first of all, so that the people of Newcastle County and of Delaware know about our 100 Plugs plan here in Newcastle County. And they know that it never, ever would have been possible without the support of our two senators and our Congresswoman, who not only are doing everything to get all these resources back home. I feel like every week or two or three, we're having another event just to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Historic resources being sent to local governments across this country, no more than here in Newcastle County, but also understanding that you are on the front lines of a battle, especially you, Madam Congresswoman, every minute of every day these days of really fighting for us. And we want to make sure that you know and the people of the county know how much county government appreciates that and how much we benefit from it. Let me talk quickly about what exactly we're talking about today. It's the 100 Plugs plan. I was just thinking this morning of the number of gas stations we were passing. And in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there are going to be a lot fewer cars getting gas at those gas stations, which I know to many of our constituents is a little scary, a changing economy. It's also a tremendous opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity for Delawareans. If you travel from New York to D.C. right now, and want to travel on sort of a standard electric vehicle, there's a good chance that that electric vehicle will be running out of juice right about in Delaware. And we have the land and we have the infrastructure to be the gas station of tomorrow for the entire region. And so today is about us deploying many of these federal resources and some state and county resources today to put up 100 plugs. So far to date, we've run a little pilot with charging stations at Brandywine 100, Bear, Appoquinimink libraries, as well as a new park outside Middletown that we just opened a couple weeks ago. Today we're announcing a whole bunch of additional plugs across our county, many of them level 2 plugs. I have to thank Tracy Searles, Dale, Paul Freeze, where's Mike Bowser, who did a tremendous amount of work to make this happen. Brian Boyle on my team. So many in public works who I'm not naming, who are really out there doing the work to make sure that we're doing this and doing this right and doing it well. We also started to charge a little bit. They've been free up until a few weeks ago. A number of people started to complain, say, wait a second, if you go and pay for gas, why do you get electricity for free? We think that's right. So it's much lower cost than fuel, but we're starting to charge a little bit, which allows us to subsidize and take this opportunity that has been granted to us by the federal government and making sure it replicates for years to come. The 100 Plugs plan is another step in our commitment to reduce our carbon footprint. It reduces carbon emissions. It stimulates economic growth. It encourages energy independence. It instills consumer confidence. And of course, it also enables people to move from place to place much less expensively at a time when inflation is still a big, big issue. So the details of the 100 plugs will be building out. As I mentioned, we currently have 8 plugs in operation. We received a $403,000 energy efficiency and conservation block grant that we're celebrating today, thanks to the tremendous support and advocacy of Senator Carper, Senator Coons, and Congresswoman Blunt Rochester. We're going to bring on another 7 more charging stations, 14 more plugs here at Woodlawn Library and Delcastle Park, pending the final approval. There's always pending the final approval from the Department of Energy and I know we have strong support from our delegation in Washington to make sure we get those final approvals. So we'll be at 26 EV charging plugs at 5 county parks and libraries after that. We have a plan that Mike Bowser has led the effort to build out that ultimately is going to have 100 EV plugs at 15 county parks and libraries, well positioned across the county. We're fortunate here with all of our county assets that we can sort of position them equally across the county. We're also keeping in mind, again, that we're on this 95-295 corridor where we can potentially get revenue from people traveling through our state. So this is another big step for us in our continued collaboration, and we just want to say thank you again to our federal partners for what they're doing. Next, I want to make sure I bring up sort of a visionary for the country on issues of climate change, our senior senator, former governor, former treasurer, and mentor to many, including me, Senator Tom Carper.
Every now and then, Lisa says that I've been one of her mentors, and I always say we mentor each other, and the same is true with you. If you're a member of Carpertown, raise your hands, please. Oh, that's great. Carpertown, it's not a word I made up, but somebody else did. I don't even know at least who made it up, but it refers to people who've been part of the teams I've been privileged to lead as in the Navy and later as treasurer, congressman, governor, and senator. And it ties in with a great song by the Eagles called Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. Never leave. But I especially welcome our Carpertown folks here today, a number of whom have had joined, but a number of whom have really worked hard on the legislation that helps make all of this possible. As some of you know, we used to build a lot of cars, trucks, vans in Delaware. We built, I think, on a per capita basis, more vehicles than any state in the nation. And we lost our GM plant, we lost our Chrysler plant, which broke my heart and probably the hearts of many people here a number of years ago. But 10 years ago, I used to go to the Detroit Auto Show every year. When I was governor, I wanted to know everybody that ran GM. I wanted to know all the people who ran Chrysler. So if they ever were thinking about closing a plant, they wouldn't close ours. As it turns out, in the middle of the Great Recession, GM and Chrysler closed like scores of plants all across the country. I remember 10 years ago, at least meeting a woman named Mary Barra. Mary Barra, who was just an up-and-coming star, rising star at General Motors. And the car of the year that year was the Chevrolet Volt. Your car, your car, and I met Mary Barr that day, and about 5, 6, 7 years later, she became the CEO, and actually, I think she leads the Business Roundtable now as well. She said to me about 2 or 3 years ago, she said, "Senator, I'm all in on electric. I'm all in on electric. That's the future. We know it is. It's cheaper to build, cheaper to maintain." And we know that climate change is real. So she says, but when we build at General Motors vehicles that run off of electric, she said, I want to make sure that they'll get 300-mile range. And she said that's on them. That's on GM. She said I want to make sure that the batteries can be charged in minutes, not hours. She said, and we need to make sure that people can get wherever they go in this country, they can find a place to charge their vehicles. And she said, that's on you. I said, on me? And she said, yes, that's on you. So when we wrote the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which Lisa and Chris were big supporters of, we made sure that we included in there a lot of resources for infrastructure, for people to charge the batteries of their electric vehicles. It's not all on the federal government. It's not on the state government, the county government. It's not all on the owners of the vehicles. This is a shared responsibility. And it's a shared responsibility because we all have a big stake in this. And I one of my colleagues who's on the Environment and Public Works Committee is from Arizona. He told me back in last month, he said that in the Phoenix, I think he said, for like 54 days in a row, the temperature was over 110 degrees. Over 110 degrees. Have one of my colleagues who's from Vermont told us about the incredible torrential rainstorms that they had, like floods, stuff that they've never seen. We've seen what's happened in Hawaii. We see what's happening here in Delaware with the lowest lying state in the country, and our state is sinking. The question is, what do we do about it, and can we address it? And can we do it in a way that creates jobs and economic opportunity? And the answer is, the good news is, in the wake of the face of all this bad news, the good news is we can do something about it. About 30% of our carbon emissions here in the United States come from our mobile sources, our vehicles, our cars, trucks, and vans. About another 25% come from our power plants that provide us with our electricity. Maybe another 20% come from manufacturing operations. And we just had a big celebration on Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey being named as a site of a hydrogen hub. And people say to me, who cares about a hydrogen hub? And I said, well, we probably should care. We all probably should care about it, because those three categories I mentioned there, mobile sources, power plants, and the third as well our manufacturing operations, plants. They all can use hydrogen. They can all use clean hydrogen, and so the key is, how do we create hydrogen? How do we create a hydrogen that's green, not blue or black or gray? And there's ways to do that. Tie it all together. But the other thing I'd say is, I love Wawa. This is the advertising part of the program. Love Wawa, and my guess is, if we were to take a survey, you all do too. And one of the things I like about Wawa, I like the coffee, I like the food, I like the people who work there and go there. I also like the fact that my Tesla Y, which is right back to the red Tesla Y, which my wife has yet to drive. She wants to only drive her 2001 Chrysler Town & Country minivan with 600,000 miles. No, she doesn't. We sold that for $1. But we can, all up and down the East Coast, there are hundreds of Wawas that have a charging capability. And there's a bunch of other places, truck stops and others, that are developing the same kind of service. So we're on our way. But we got a long ways to go. And it's an all-hands-on-deck moment. And the federal government is providing a lot of money. I was privileged to floor manage the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and Lisa had a big role in the Senate, in the House rather, someday in the Senate. Chris, I think Chris might still be in the Middle East today, trying to get us to a peaceful situation, and God bless him, he's doing the Lord's work, as he often does. But Matt, I just want to say to you, as leader here in the county, thanks for leading the charge and making sure that when I love libraries. I don't know about the rest of you. I love gyms, I love the gymnasiums, love the Y, I love libraries. And the idea that people can go to the library and fill up their heads with knowledge, but now they can fill up their vehicles with electrons and be able to go out and travel wherever they need to go and not harm our environment. What a win-win situation. So with that having in mind, may I introduce Lisa? May I introduce Lisa Blunt Rochester? Do you want to do that? Okay. Here she is. Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Thank you.
She's the best.
Thank you, Senator.
Great. And her dad, we love her dad. And some of you know Ted, her dad and her mom. And he went through a tough time, and he's back at it. He's out jogging. He was at the Y this morning.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
It's so good to have him back.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Senator.
Thanks for all your leadership.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am just pleased to be here as well with you, Matt. Your vision, your leadership for what the county is presenting today, the 100 Plugs Plan. And I love visuals. And so we've got a map up here that actually shows the different places where these plugs will be. And then also to be here with Senator Carper, our hero, champion for the environment, champion for our economy, champion for Delawareans and the nation. Just proud to be with you. And I know Andrew Dinsmore is here representing Senator, there's Andrew in the back representing Senator Coons. Thank you also for being here. And I, too, I love libraries, so it's good to be at the Woodlawn Library. I know the very recent librarian, Rebecca, is here, so to the librarian, yes, to the I love libraries. And I guess the reason why I want to put a pin in the libraries is because one of the biggest impediments, there are a couple, to why people, how we get an uptake in people getting EVs and having those cars to charge. One is accessibility. You know, if I'm and married to that is range anxiety. I don't want, and I remember when I got that Chevy Volt, the dealer was trying to talk me into getting the Bolt, which was all electric. I started with a hybrid because I said, I'm driving somewhere, I don't want to like run out of charge and be afraid that I'm going to be stuck somewhere. And so range anxiety is really one of the deterrents. And so to be able to place these, and that's why I say your leadership and your vision, along with the work of us in Congress, to be able to place these charging stations in places that are accessible to people is really, really important. The other piece of that is that it can't just be accessible on a highway. What I love is that we are talking about public libraries where people frequent, where people go. And they are in places like neighborhoods like this one. And so that to me is also something that is very special about what we're doing, what we're announcing, and why it's so important. Ultimately, this creates more jobs, whether it's building these new cars, whether it's the people who are going to have to fix these new cars, whether it's the people who are building the charging stations. These are jobs, good paying jobs for our country. That also means better health care, better health status for us because we can breathe the air. That's also what this is about. It's about our health status as well. And then today we're going to be leaving here and going to Amtrak. And so to me, this must be a moving day, let's get moving kind of day. But it's really important to the future of this country. And so I am just proud to be a part of this. I would probably quote President Biden and say that this is really an infrastructure decade because we are building the infrastructure of the future and we're building it now. Thank you, Senator Carper, for your leadership, bipartisan leadership. In a moment where a lot of people think we can't get things done together, we are getting things that are transformational done. And so let's not forget that in the midst of all of the stuff, the talking you see, there are things that are getting done. And I last wanted to mention, there's a website, energy.gov/save. And I'm mentioning that because there are other things through the Department of Energy and through the work that we're doing as part of the Regional Leadership Council that I serve on. I'm one of the 12 members across the country that are trying to make sure we implement these bills and get the word out. But people need to know about this website for rebates, for tax credits, for discounts on everything from your appliances to EVs to making sure that we've got solar potentially on your roof. It's also not just about our economy and about our health, but it's also about lowering costs for everyday Americans. So this is good news today. This is some good news. To all the media, we got a good news story here today. So spread the word. I didn't drive up in my, I do have a white Mustang, and it's pre-owned. But it's a sweet baby. That thing, I turned 61, and 61 is the year for fun, so I got a Mustang. It's electric.